All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything Cultural Podcast. Today I'll be doing a Week 14 preview and prediction for the Iron Bowl going down here between Auburn and Alabama. Crimson Tide 4.5-point road favorites, 48.5 total, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC from Auburn, Alabama. Okay, let's start with the Crimson Tide offense on that Tiger defense for Alabama this year. It's been an offense that's been really manufactured by a one-dimensional passing attack led by Ty Simpson and his heroics. Sort of very accurate passer downfield. They really thrive in that intermediate range. Very tough to slow down on third down. He does a great job when it comes to his timing and being accurate in those areas that has them at a 49% third down conversion rate. This has been the heart and soul of the defense, is just them being able to stay on the field. And Simpson, being able to operate from clean pockets and being on schedule. This passing attack has been highly impressive, 266 yards per game. Great trio of pass catchers. Gurmy Bernard, 676 and 6 scores. Ryan Williams has had a lot of inconsistencies, but still sitting at 600 yards and 4 scores of his own. Isaiah Horton, 383. Josh Cuevas and Lazi Brooks also have 300-plus yards. So this is a receiving group. It's got numerous different options. They can make plays downfield. They can make plays, again, in that intermediate range where they love in-breakers, really to Williams or Bernard for nice 15 to 20-yard chunk plays. That's something they always seem to do, especially early on in games. They just attack the middle third of the field, and that allows them to get drives started. And they're hard to slow down because not a lot of teams are able to put them in a lot of those third and long situations just because they're always able to stay on schedule. But a big reason why they are in a lot of long down and distances, especially as the game goes on, is this run game's no good. 102 yards per game in conference play, about 3 yards per attempt. They just are not good at all. 269 yards against Eastern Illinois. In Louisiana Monroe, they had 200 plus on, but they struggle to even find 100 yards in conference play. They have yet to hit 150 in an SEC game, so they've been able to run it up on weaker opponents. They haven't hit 100 in any of the games. 150, that is, in any of the games against Power 4 opponents. It's been a real struggle for them, and this is why they're not able to really win games by a whole lot of points or wear down opponents, because the defense is never going to get tired. They're never on the field for a long period of time, and they can't close out games because they're not able to run the ball. Jam Miller, when he came back from injury, looked like he was helping give them a little bit of a spark. That really didn't last long. Kevin Riley, with some of his size, has been good. Daniel Hill as well. Able to rip off an occasional run, but not really anything that's sustainable. He's 244 pounds, so he's going to be a bit of your bruiser. Just it's not been pretty for this rushing attack, and Hill ended up getting 15 carries against Oklahoma. He had 2 scores, and he had like a 28-yarder in there as well, but the run game just doesn't do much. They're at the bottom of the conference in pretty much every category when you measure effectiveness and efficiency, so it's a one-dimensional unit going up against an Auburn run defense that's not probably going to give up a whole lot either. They played Georgia earlier on in the year, held them to 79 yards. They pretty much dominate in conference as well. A&M's the only game they really struggled in, but they give up right there about 102 yards per game in conference play. Vanderbilt had their number. This defense got torched by them. That's a very tough scheme to defend. They gave up 45 points, boatload of yards in that one. That scheme really had their number there, but I don't think that they're going to resort to being poor again. I think they're going to be pretty stout here against their rival in the Iron Bowl. This is a group that plays a lot of physicality up front. The defensive line is incredibly loaded in all regards. Keldrick Falk having a great year as a run defender. Kevon Crawford, the other side, has been great as a pass rusher and against the run. Chris Murray, Amaris Williams, they have some nice edges on the interior. A lot of size. Malik Blockton, Bobby Jamison Travis are going to be your top guys. Dallas Walker brings a lot of size to the table. Zykevius Walker as well. I mean, it's just a big physical group. Very nasty. I definitely thought that the pass rush production at this point in the season would be a lot better. 28 sacks. That's pretty good. But a lot of that has not come from their edges. Xavier Adkins, that linebacker, came over from LSU, has proved to be an elite athletic player. He's got an interception this year, along with 81 tackles, 15.5 TFL, and 7.5 sacks. Adkins has just been a superstar for this defense, kind of coming out of nowhere, really taking the role of Demarcus Riddick. I thought he would really emerge this year, and he's been poor. Has really been delegated to the second stringers behind Robert Woodyard Jr., who's been a phenomenal run defender. Elijah Melendez has played with a lot of physicality as well. So this is a linebacking group that's played very good football throughout the year in conference play. The secondary, I think they're capable of doing well in this matchup. They've had inconsistencies, and since they're so good against the run, a lot of teams delegate to throwing passes against them, completing about 63% on the year, 12 touchdowns and 11 picks. 240 yards per contest isn't ideal, especially when they got torched against Vanderbilt for almost 400. That group doesn't have a lot of talented pass catchers. But again, against that scheme, it's very tough, and a lot of people struggle to defend them. So I don't think it's really vindictive of how good this defense can be. That's the only time this year, outside of Baylor, they've allowed 300 pass yards in a game. Big responsibilities, though, for Jay Crawford and Kalen Lee. Rashawn Pleasant brings a lot of speed to the table as well. Alabama, a team that I would love to see take more deep shots because they're there. They don't always hit on them, but Simpson's like right there. I mean, they're almost perfect passes, and the receivers usually have a step. Sylvester Smith is a guy they could probably attack in the slot. And then at safety, Caleb Harris had a lot of struggles early on in the year, stepped it up as the seasons went on. Jaquiz Robinson hasn't been very good at safety. Eric Winters has been playing a lot better football, so maybe he's going to be the full-time guy here. And I expect that to be the case. This is an Auburn defense, though. Again, they're incredibly deep when it comes to their front seven and the physicality. DJ Durkin coaches up these guys very well, and I think that's going to give a lot of problems to Alabama, who's definitely going to be one-dimensional. The offensive line, loaded with size and skill. Caden Proctor, left tackle, having a good year. Cam Dewberry, I like what he does at left guard. Parker Brailsford's having a good year in pass pro at center. And then the right side's been, up in the air. Jaden Roberts, Gino Van Demark, they've been playing a little bit in that spot. Wilkin Formby, as of late's also kicked inside to allow Michael Carroll to play at right tackle. So that right tackle, or that right side spot that is on the O-line, they like to do a different variety of different combinations. And I think that's definitely led to some enhanced play and pass protection from this group. Moving to the other side of things, the Auburn offense on the Alabama defense. For the Tigers, what's the plan going to be at quarterback? I don't have any clue, and I don't think that the Auburn Tigers are going to tell Alabama what they're going to do until right before kickoff either. I'd anticipate Ashton Daniels, who preserved his red shirt with sitting out against Mercer, is probably going to get the start. He played very good against Vanderbilt, 353 yards passing, threw for 2 touchdowns. He also ran for another 2 with 90 yards as well. So Daniels, he's played well for them at quarterback since taking over. I know they only scored 3 points against Kentucky, though. That was a great coming out party for him. Deuce Knight ended up getting a start against Mercer. He was great. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He had 126 yards on his first 2 rushing attempts. Both went for long touchdowns. Ended the day with 4 rushing TDs. So this is a guy I think they can look to get involved potentially in this game in certain sets. If you watch that game, he was just running away from defenders, and Alabama's obviously going to have a lot greater athletes than Mercer, so it's not going to be as free for him. But he's too talented of a guy, and I don't know if he's just going to get put on the bench for this game entirely. So I think you'll see a little bit of Deuce Knight. Jackson Arnold has value as a runner. I know he's really struggled this year with his deep ball. That's a big reason why he got benched. But he's a guy that can bring a lot of physicality to the table. Had a long rush touchdown against Mercer as well. So I think it's possible you see 3 quarterbacks potentially get on the field in this game, as crazy as that might seem. Arnold has 8 rushing touchdowns this year. That's what Auburn's going to look to do. This is an offense that's going to slow things down. They're going to look to bring physicality to the table. It's what they did against Georgia. Led to such a great first half for them. If they would have got in there at the goal line right before the half, potentially could have been a much different result for them. Jeremiah Cobb's going to be in the backfield with 936 yards and 4 scores. 200-pounder, has done well this year. Nobody else has really gotten touches at running back outside of him. He's been the main guy, and then you're going to see these quarterbacks run the ball a lot as well. They're going to look to slow things down again, and they've done well at doing that at times this year. Ran it all over Arkansas, had a good day against Vanderbilt, and then again against Georgia, they were quite good in that first half. So that's going to be the MO for them, I think. And you're going to look at the set, some shots up downfield when it comes to targeting Cam Coleman. Eric Singleton's still a heck of an athlete. Malcolm Simmons out of the slot can be good. Deep shots to Perry Thompson. So we still have a very loaded youthful receiving group for Auburn to take advantage of. What's the game going to be, though? Not knowing who the quarterback will be, I think it's going to be the same regardless, and that's going to be to run the football a lot and slow this game down and just own time of possession. They do have those receivers who can cook on third down. They can cook downfield as well. So it's going to be a very versatile approach, I think, from Auburn. This is an offensive line who struggled early on in the season when it came to allowing sacks. A lot of that was on the shoulders of Jackson Arnold, of course, just sitting in the pocket way too long. And then when he wasn't sitting there taking too long, he was just forcing balls in the coverage. So it was a whole lot of bad for Auburn with this offense for most part of the year. Xavier Chaplin at left tackle was having a respectable year. Not what they thought he would do after coming out of the portal. Dylan Wade at left guard being respectable. Connor Liu, one of the better centers in the conference. And then over on the right side, you have big issues with Mason Murphy, who's allowed 10 sacks this year. Has not had that good of a year. In Alabama, their pass rushing group, they've been better as the season went on. Yanze Pierre, LT Overton, these guys have a combined 16.5 tackles for loss. They're the top 2 pass rushers with 10 sacks. Not that great of a pass rushing group overall, but this defensive line has a lot of heat, and they do very well in short yardage, even though the run defense has struggled at times this year. Either it's linebackers missing the holes or poor run fits from the secondary, the defensive line not getting great push. It's still a talented group. Edric Hill, Tim Keenan, James Smith on the interior, guys that can get the job done. Lyndon Simmons has been playing some good ball at times this year. Deontay Lawson and Justin Jefferson at linebacker. At times, they just appeared to be too quiet. Yeah, I think Jefferson this year was kind of disappointed against the run, but Nakia Hill-Green's really stepped up with his play in that regard. And then Deontay Lawson's going to be a great tone setter for them in the middle. But I definitely think this secondary, they've allowed some big plays this year. Not too many, though. I mean, their pass defense numbers are pretty stout. Have not faced the greatest of passing attacks, really, at all. I think Tennessee is probably the best one they've seen over the last 5 games. It's a group that's still playing very good football, 61% comp allowed. You have 148 yards per contest allowed. Since they put Damani Jackson on the bench, they've been playing much better in this area. Xavier Brown, Dejon Lee, doing very good at their cornerback positions. Bray Hubbard is an elite tone setter at his safety position. He's a hard hitter, good center fielder as well in coverage. And then Keon Sabb's been pretty solid in coverage as well. So Auburn's going to look to try to generate one-on-one matchups with the corners, and these safeties will start creeping uphill if they can get the run game going. And I think these quarterbacks are going to get involved a lot, and they're going to have a lot of carries. It's going to be a physical game from them. Moving to the final thoughts on the prediction. In the preseason, I said that Auburn would win this game and it would send Alabama to 9-3, and that's exactly what they're staring down the barrel of. That's a doomsday type game for Alabama, having to go to Jordan-Hare with the playoffs on the line in a night game. If the Tigers win, they're going to a bowl game, and they can end the season of their rival. Perfect opportunity for Auburn to get the victory, and I think that they will. Under 48.5 is going to be the best bet. Alabama this year, their offense has struggled big time in second halves. They're just not nearly as effective, and a big reason for that is because they can't run the football. I mean, this is a one-score type offense in the second half, 10 points max in those final 2 quarters type. I mean, that's what we've seen out of Alabama this year as the game drags on, and Auburn with this nasty front seven. The run game, I think, is going to do well, be able to rip off a big amount of explosives. And Alabama's needed a lot of voodoo-type magic to win this year in Jordan-Hare. And this team is just not well established because they're a one-dimensional offense. If they're not good on third down, it just doesn't seem like they're that good at all. And someday it's going to happen where they're not great on third down, where they're at 20 or 30%. And it's going to be hard for them to get the job done, especially on the road here in such a monumental game. You've seen them go 38% against Oklahoma. Ended up losing that one by a couple of points. And throughout the year, they've just been consistently at 40+%. And I think in a game like this where it's not going to be as simple, I think you're going to see them in that 20 to 30% range, and that's not going to be good for this team. Auburn's going to get the job done. They're going to be headed to the postseason, while Alabama is going to be delegated to another non-important bowl game, I guess you could put it, with a loss here. Auburn will get the job done. That's going to be for today's episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.